Welcome back to Ward Geordie's Wafter. This is Kriegschmidt. I'm here with
Dangle. Dangle by name, Dangle by nature.
You didn't always used to.
No, but since the age of about 14.
Well, that's what gravity will do to anyone.
Yeah.
So we're back with another battle report. This time it's 4,500 points again, and it's Warriors of the Dark Gods against Dwarven Holds. And the first time that we've played these two armies against each other. So hopefully you've already seen that Dangle has very kindly done a Dwarven Holds army intro video introducing his army. I've done the same with my Warriors of the Dark Gods army. So feel free to pause the video if you want to look at the army lists again. Here they are. So here's mine. And here are some dwarves. There you go.
Dwarves.
Hold each, I love this, hold each wrong like a chafing grain of sand, and your grudges will become as pearls.
That's the team motto.
The team motto.
That's what it says on all of our cushions back in the hold.
It's a very good, elegant way of saying meat and two veg, isn't it, really?
Talking of meat and two veg, here's my wide stance and tight jeans.
Yes, like those awful photos of the Conservative Party had done, where they'd all obviously been taught how to do a power stance. Do you remember those?
Oh yeah. With Osborne, yeah.
Yeah. So very briefly, my thoughts going into this were I'd never played Warriors of Dark Gods against dwarves before, and being a Geordie, I thought, you know what it is? I'm just going to Gan Raj. I'm going to make a spearhead and just run screaming at him, just try and punch through his battle line in 2 turns, really. Put all the fast, heavy-hitting stuff together. So deployment was Frontline Clash. Secondary objective was King of the Hill. I chose the actual hill on the left, near the explosion. And very quickly, left to right, I've got my Chosen of Sloth, the Herald, who ended up with Marked for Doom in the Grave Calls and Wrath of God, and had hard target and could get a wound back every round of combat, if he was lucky. Then there's the block of Greed Warriors, the 5 Fallen, the 10 Knights with Greed, the Giant, which is actually a dragon that Scratch built, and he ended up with Glory of Gold from Alchemy. In the forest was the small unit of unfavored warriors with the Murder Lord, the chosen Lord of Greed on his kill dace or whatever it's called. And then on the right, ready to scoot up behind the hill and hopefully pull off some sort of flanking maneuver at some point, is the Envy Warriors. And hopefully you can already see the Knights and the Giant and the unit of warriors with the 15-inch March banner and the Chosen Lord in there. They're really the head of the spear, and it was just really just to shove that towards Dangle's crotch as he's standing.
Yeah. So my deployment, kind of going the other way, going from right to left, the great big block that you can see there is the spear dwarves with the king on the war throne. I've got a lovely great big bear model for that. And behind the fence, I've got some greybeards, and they're kind of guarding my artillery with a block of marksmen in front of that. In the water feature, I've got my whole guardians, my yetis, the whole guardians.
That was a field. Sorry, just to let you know.
That was a field? Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
that was a field.
There's some nice turnips in there for the yetis.
The yetis are eating the turnips. And then, yeah, I've got the Kingsguard with the Rune Priest in with the Kingsguard, and then I have the Seekers with the Dragon Seeker in with them.
God, I hate those things.
Yeah, they're one of my favourite units, but I've still not worked out how to use them yet. So I've only got, as you'll have known if you've seen some of the other videos, I only have one army, and it seems like every time I play a battle, I'm playing somebody different. So yeah, last week I got slaughtered by the elves, and I started this battle thinking I must not make the same mistakes that led to me to being slaughtered by elves. But then elves with bows are very different from Chaos Warriors on horses. So yeah,
yeah,
it's a steep learning curve for me at the moment.
To your credit, you didn't make the same mistake you made last time.
I didn't, no, but we'll see whether I lost or won.
Yeah, yeah. You certainly modelled those genes very well.
Okay.
So yeah, my major concern was the fact that I don't have much magic, and so with a bad plan and bad dice, I could very easily bounce off dwarves. So I was kind of taking a bit of a gamble with the spearhead in the hope that it would just smash through. So here's my turn one. The chosen, with sloth, we're not in a hurry, and I didn't really need them in the sense that they were there to kind of gradually creep over, and if needed to flank charge anything they could do. Otherwise, they could just mosey on up to the hill and just sit there going, yeah, we don't care. And you can already see that I'd kind of committed to my battle plan. So the unfavored warriors had triggered their 15-inch march banner to get the lord right up ahead with the giant next to them and the knights. All in, hopefully, fingers crossed, in charge range. And as I looked at Dangle's line, I thought, if this goes really well, I can charge and then overrun and stuff behind, and then I'm done. Then I can just go at the bank. I was a bit concerned about what the spear warriors with the king and the greybeards might do. I thought, hats off to Dangle. I thought that was a really solid tactic, putting them there and being, having them there available, because I had to then sort of be wary of that flank, and I had to really commit to the plan. Try and get so far forward so quickly that they couldn't really do much. But I didn't know how it was going to go. You can probably see that most of the Seekers are already dead because the Herald managed to kill a load of them with the Grave Calls, I think it was. And I think you had a difficult decision about that, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, I've got this rune of devouring that I can if I let a spell go off, then I can devour the spell, and then you can't use it again. So it's always this thing that, do I wait to see which spell is the worst spell and then devour it, but then I've got to devour it the second time, or do I just devour the one that I'm most afraid of the first turn, but then I've got to let it through, and it's a proper head scratcher. So I decided to let you have it the first time, just so that you couldn't ever use it again. But actually, when you rolled the number of hits and the how many wounds it was pretty disastrous for that unit. So
yeah.
Still not sure whether that was the right decision, but
I remember we were sort of in a kind of really jolly friendly way. We were sort of arguing about that for ages, weren't we? You were humming and hawing, and I didn't even know at the time whether I was trying to sort of help you or just mess with your head. I was like, yeah, but are you sure you want to let it through? Because it might completely fuck up your Seekers. And to begin with, it was just a bit of fun. It was like, oh, are you sure you want to do that? But then I think underneath, I was just like, no, mate, you really don't want to let this one through. If I wipe out those Seekers, then I could just chew my way. I've then broken the scary unit on the left. So I really felt that was a big decision. And
yeah.
And
it was one that I'm still learning how to make those sorts of decisions.
Oh, it's tough. I don't think it was anything wrong with your decision making. I think it was just a really horrible decision to have to make. But here's your turn anyway.
Yeah, so Seekers running in to try and get at anything that they can get into. Really, obviously, there's no ranged damage in the Warriors of the Dark Gods army, but I just wanted those to be in and chewing stuff as soon as they can, so that they were just running towards the enemy. The artillery and the marksmen are standing there firing. The other two units, the Greybeards and the King's unit, are kind of bearing in from the flank, just to hopefully try and move some of those units together to try and either flank charge them or get them in together. I'm always quite confident that at least the King's Guard are fairly resilient, and they can face a charge, especially because they've got Rune of Resilience on them and things. They've got the Rune Smith and a Banner of Wisdom, and they're behind the anvil, so normally I can get that rune on them to make them more difficult to wound. So I'm just kind of moving in and trying to close the distance on my own terms, really. There,
yeah.
Shooting from the artillery always pretty bad. Despite being dwarves, it's always pretty bad.
I mean, it was all right. You killed a few warriors. I started to worry about that unit with the Lord in, because you were plinking him off, I think, fairly reliably.
But then I've spent quite a lot of points on just what will be 1 or maybe 2 turns of shooting, because I know you're going to charge in and get into combat with me as quickly as possible. So I've spent kind of close to, what, 500, 600 points just on artillery. And I know I'm only going to get 1 or maybe 2 turns. So if they're not earning the points in those 1 or 2 turns, they're not doing anything really. So
it's a big thing, isn't it? It's something I've only thought of recently. Is just from sort of reading the forum and trying to benefit from other people's wisdom, is the kind of idea of points exchange. And there's a guy called Dan T, who's obviously very experienced and done an awful lot of work in sort of game design and army design and things. He's a great guy, and he sort of was talking about blunderbusses, I think. And I said, well, if they're designed in such a way that I never get to fire them all game, I'll be really disappointed. And he said, if I put them in the right place, that means I never have to fire them all game, but they force my opponent to go where I want them to, then they've done exactly what I need them to. And I was like, I hadn't thought of it like that.
That's true. It's true, but it's also like what we call the opportunity cost of those points. So for the price of the cannon and the catapult, I could have got another 24 Kingsguard.
Yeah.
So it's the opportunity cost of what else could I have done with those points. I could have, I've got those 2 little things at the back that can maybe do a little bit of damage, or I could have another really scary unit of 24 Kingsguard.
That's true. I mean, if it's any interest to you, the effect it had on me was that I was like, I mean, partly it was a sense of sort of, Geordie spirit, just fucking gan raj. But also it's just like, well, I'm going to have to go straight for him, because if I try and fanny about or just, kind of slowly maneuver and this and that, blah, blah, I'm just going to be taking cannon hits and catapult hits and probably 30-inch crossbow hits that strength 4 AP 1, they can actually plink off my costly warriors. So it's basically what I'm saying is your fault that I did this, which was this. So
yeah.
My turn 2. Hang on, I'm gonna have to go back, so I've got to work out who charged whom. So I was hoping I had a couple of cans by this point, and I remember I was just pacing. I couldn't help but pace backwards and forwards. I was just like, "Fucking Howay, lads, gone for it." I was hoping you would think that the knights were going to charge the greybeards, so I deliberately charged the knights into the hold guardians, knowing that if they killed them, the knights, even with a poor overrun, would be out of the charge arc of the greybeards. So they did that.
Do you mean the Kingsguard? You mean the Kingsguard?
Sorry, yes. I keep calling them greybeards, don't I? Sorry, yeah, the Kingsguard. Yeah. So I was like, right, fingers crossed the knights will kill the hold guardians, and then they'll be able to overrun so the Kingsguard can't flank charge them, which would be class. And the Lord's unit and the Giant both managed to get into the marksman, who did do a stand and shoot valiantly. And you killed a few. You killed, I think, 5 warriors just with the stand and shoot and
well, they've got the sturdy
back
thing, so they don't suffer. -1 to hit. So,
but excuse me. What it meant was that where is your cannon? In fact, So what it meant was that the Giant was able to overrun, because the marksman died, obviously, screaming. The Giant was able to overrun into catapult, and the Lord's unit was able to overrun into the cannon, and that was the point. The knights overran to within about 2 millimeters of the table edge, so I didn't have to go off. And at that point, I just remember thinking, "That's it, game over." Game over, man. Yeah. Game over. I was still worried about like the greybeards and the King's unit. You really did have me kind of on my toes there and forced me to smash through the middle, because again, same as with the artillery, if I tried to sort of fanny about, see what he does and move a bit here and there, I'd have ended up getting shot by artillery and then flank charged by greybeards and an angry king on a fucking armored bear. And then you would have won the game aggressively. And the Fallen are just chaffing the Seekers, obviously.
Well, they're attempting to, but then forgetting that they've got light troops. And
Oh yeah, that was it. My blood was up. I had this sort of massive bloodlust for like smashing through your line, and about 3 cans of hobgoblin hit me. And then I was like, "I've chaffed your Seekers." Oh fuck, I haven't.
we had bigger fish behind them.
Yeah, we did. Excuse my voice and my cough, by the way. I do not have COVID. It's just
Well, nobody cares because they can't transmit COVID that we know of through a podcast or a YouTube video.
I just need people to understand how icy and harsh the air is of this far north, and like running away from the polar bears every day just to get a bottle of milk. It's a fucking challenge.
You should try it. Well, I'm a bit further north than you, and I have to milk the polar bears. So
you don't live further north than me, you lying fucking bastard. There is an entire, mentally, there is a massive divide between where I live and where you live. And there is certainly a significant body of water. So, don't work yourself, son. Anyway, that's enough of that. So then I guess this was your turn too.
Yeah, so just fighting for pride at the time, aren't I? So what's so the Seekers have rounded the Fallen, and they're heading towards the group of warriors there, just because they're being contrarian. They realised they were getting chaffed, and they were like, "He was chaffing us, like. He was chaffing us, like." I'm got no idea. The king is playing King of the Hill and has gone up onto the hill and is now thinking, with the unit of grey beards that he's got and the unit of spear warriors, at least I can smash some chaos warriors. That's really what we came here to do. So yeah, they're up on the hill, ready to charge. And the King's Guard are
soiling themselves.
They're probably thinking, well, there's an Exalted Herald right in front of us, and there's some Chaos Knights right behind us. The Chaos Knights are going to take a couple of turns to turn around and charge us. So by the time the Chaos Knights turn around and charge us, can we get to the Exalted Herald and kill him? So they're probably charging over to the Exalted Herald, thinking at least we can get a scalp. Bragging rights, even if we end up dying to a rear charge by the Chaos Knights.
Can I just chime in with something? There was one thing which I think you considered at the time, which I've just spotted, that I think you were concerned. I think you were thinking ahead and thinking the giant's going to kill the catapult and then turn around to face me, and so the King's Guard are then. I think you were like, I'm going to have to think about the fact there might be a giant pointing towards me as well, which by the end of your turn there was.
Yeah, but I was thinking that, like, behind where they're standing now, behind them are some Chaos Knights and a small unit of warriors and a giant. And I was thinking, should I turn to face the inevitable charge there?
Yeah.
But then I'm going to get rear charged by the Exalted Herald.
Yeah.
So which is it better to turn my rear end to?
Yeah.
And bend over and accept. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to just point at the Exalted Herald because he's. Again, I mean, at this point, I thought I'm probably not going to win the game, but at least I can kill some of your characters and have, salvage some pride a little bit. So, that was a decision whether to turn and face what was behind me or whether to just straight up go forwards. And I thought, I'm just gonna go and kill what I can see.
It was a bit like the 3 biggest, ugliest lads in Middlesbrough grabbing you in an alley and saying, right, 2 of us are going to spit roast you and 1 of us is going to give you a reach around, and them having the courtesy to ask you who you want in which role.
It was like that, but we said that we were going to talk about that anyway. And one of them, and Phil's become quite a good friend, doesn't he?
Yes, yeah. Well, that's because of where the role he ended up in, of course. He
plays Nightface, so let's just not be those nasty lads in Middlesbrough. That they do have some virtues.
They do, yes. They're very blunt and quite blunt as well.
And dry, yeah.
Blunt and dry. God. Oh. With air.
I'm back there again. I'm back there again on that dry Wednesday night. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just to take over for mine, I forgot to add on the last one that the yellow dice on the King's Guard is because I tried to snipe the Rune Priest with Marked for Doom, I think it is, and it went really well. Except I rolled a 1 on the wounds, so I didn't manage to kill him. Odds are I was thinking I'll kill him, but I only got 1. And then I think I used the Grave Calls, whichever's the 2d6 wounds one, on the anvil, just to try and kill it. I thought that's the major difference between your army and mine. We're both resilience 4 and pretty good in close combat, but you've got a solid buffing magic setup. My magic is pretty limited, so I thought, right, if I can get rid of yours, then that'll tip the odds in my favor. I did kind of throw the Envy Warriors to the wolves a little bit, because I thought, if I've demolished his line and then set up the King's Guard to get buried, to get buried, get done in by 3 friendly lads from Middlesbrough, I thought it'll be fine. I can take care of those Seekers. It's not like they normally tie me up for 3 endless turns every game or anything.
They're dangerous. The Dragon Seeker, it's not like he's a dangerous character.
So then I think the Chosen Lord's unit, I think, had stay because he was still fighting the cannon or something like that. I can't remember why he ended up over there. Anyway, the giant, the knights turned round. Obviously, they couldn't do anything else because I don't have a musician for them. I mean, I could have forced in the points, but it didn't really match the ethos of the army for me. I just kind of thought of them as an onslaught army. So the giant on its own charged into the rear of the King's Guard and killed a lot of King's Guard, and I think I only took 1 health point, if that. What we forgot was that the King's Guard were steadfast. So we forgot that, and they failed their modified break test and ran, and the giant hacked them down, killed them. Now, to try and make Dangle feel better, I worked out after, I kind of ran through it in my head and I thought, actually, it wouldn't really have ended any differently, because they would probably have passed their break test and would probably have passed their discipline test to reform from defeat to face the giant. Odds are would have killed the giant in Dangle's turn, and then I could have charged the knights and the fallen and the herald into them and painted the snow red. So the end result should have been the same. As you can see, the Greed Warriors went into combat with the Seekers, lost a couple of guys, managed to kill the Seekers and take a wound off the Dragon Seeker. I didn't really need them for anything else, so it was fine to just let that take its course. And the Envy Warriors charged the Greybeards and killed them, and then sat arrogantly on top of the hill, facing the king, who I'm convinced has Asperger's. Somebody told him it's King of the Hill, and he went, "Oh, I am the king. There is the hill. Good, got it. I'm off over there."
Yes, I think that's basically what it is. It's King of the Hill. He's a great fan of the show. He's got the propane going.
Yeah. Are you the guys that spray painted my dog?
And he's like, well, this is my hill. I'm the king. That's the hill. King of the hill. Yeah. That's what it says. Yeah. So, and he's gone and charged those Envy Warriors and completely obliterated them.
Yeah. Evaporated them, I think is the word, isn't it?
They evaporated. But then everything else is dead. The Dragon Seeker's dead. The anvil's still standing, because you do try to kill the anvil and constantly surprised that it's an anvil. Anvils. I remember there was a game against, it was Vampire Counts or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was skeletons.
Kill it over and over again, and there was all these bony skeletons hitting it with a
spears.
Spear. And I'm saying to you, it's just a lump of iron. You can't kill it with a spear. And it was just clinking off, and there was 4 or 5 turns where you were just trying to hit it with a spear. It's an anvil.
Do you remember that game? Do you remember we were like sitting there going, can you imagine what the dwarves like sitting behind the anvil are doing? They're probably eating their sarnies. They're probably like, so what did you do at the weekend? Plink, 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 plink. Oh, not much. Plink, plink. Do you think we should tell them? Nah, they're having fun. Plink, plink, plink.
Yeah. So
man.
yeah, it's I think that sometimes it's been charged by something very heavy and obviously been tipped over. Maybe it doesn't work when it's tipped over. maybe the things fall off the top of it when it's tipped over. But yeah, that's still surviving, but everything else is dead. Everything else is dead, Dave.
Yeah.
And
It was
I
a
think by
drawn
this time-
objective then, wasn't it? Your king had his hill, my chosen had my hill. But yeah, like you say, everything else was dead. So and this was the point in the evening where we would normally like say, shall we reconvene another night? But I think we just both agreed the game's over.
Yeah, it's got to about midnight, and we normally say, should we play the rest of it? But I think by this time there was nothing to be salvaged apart from the dead king.
Yeah. I've just remembered we did. There was this amazing Apocalypse game that Dangle and I were involved in 2007. It was a 20,000 point Apocalypse game when Apocalypse had just first come out, and it was a draw. We played for like 15 hours with 6 people, and it was a draw. and
I
so
found
we
the army list actually on my Google Drive this week.
Amazing.
I was thinking about it. The army list is still there.
And we were like, how are we going to resolve it? And then I remembered that in the Dark Angels Codex at the time, there was this thing about the lion and the wolf, that the Dark Angels and the Space Wolves, anytime they got together, like they'd pick a champion each and they'd have a scrap to decide who was the better chapter, you know. And I was like, I know the lion. Actually, I think it was you that thought of it because I'd been telling you about it, and you went, the lion and the wolf. And so then we agreed to make a circle of tanks, like a circle of cars. We got all the massive tanks that everyone had brought, made a circle of tanks, and Baden had a scrap with Binman's like Wolf Lord just to settle the battle. And so we got to this point, and we decided the game was over, and we were just eating the last of the M&Ms. And I can't remember, it was one of us said, I know we need to have a lion and a wolf between the king and the chosen lord to see who wins.
Yeah, let's just have them arm wrestle.
Yeah. And I actually can't remember what happened. So there you go. There's the end of that anecdote.
Well, I remember what happened.
Do you?
They charged in, and we've got the chosen lord, and we've got the king on the warbear with all the. In fact, I do remember what happened, and
Oh God!
I remember what happened, and it was completely wrong because you have that entropic thingy that should have stopped any of my special attacks. Did we remember that?
Yes, we did remember that. I think.
Did we? Okay.
Yeah.
Because what happened was it was a complete draw, and neither of us managed to score a single wound. So yeah, we had the lion versus the wolf, and they both just circled each other and then decided just not to have a fight and go home.
Just leer at each other and say,
I think we did decide to do a fight and just put them in base to base and just do a thing in initiative order, but neither of us scored any wounds against the other. So it was a bit disappointing. That's why we probably can't remember it.
So there you go. So that was that, and I don't think we actually know. It's going to be Highborn Elves against Dwarven Holds again next time. So you have to see if you manage to regain some face.
Yeah, I think I know what I'm going to do.
Oh,
I'm going to fuck you up.
You're going to Ganraj.
Yeah, I'm just going to get some dwarf knights. I've decided I'm going to give them speed banners and mark of envy, and just make them really fast.
Amazing. Just like the fastest dwarves ever.
Yeah, just as fastest dwarf ever.
Cool. It would be quite fun. Would be quite fun to have a game where there's just like really fast dwarves chasing fleeing elves all around the battlefield. Cool.
That'd be like a Benny Hill sketch, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was pleased that the just fucking Ganraj just worked, and being able to overrun into the stuff behind was great. Take out the artillery. I think it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think I'd positioned, like you said, I positioned the Kingsguard there to receive the charge, thinking, right, I'll position the Kingsguard there to receive the charge, never thinking that you would think, I don't want to charge the Kingsguard, I'd prefer to charge something different, please, and just charge the thing that was standing next to them.
Well, it's because I thought you would want me to charge the Kingsguard, so I thought, in that case, I'm going to, surprise him.
Yeah.
He thinks I'm going to punch him in the face, so I'm going to run up and kiss him on the earlobe.
Yeah. That'd be worse. That's that Wednesday night in Middlesbrough again, isn't it?
And that's how we ended up playing with Phil.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good game, and like I'm not the most competitive person, you know. So as long as I've learned something, that's the main thing. And like I said, this is still probably less than 10 games of the ninth phase for me. And,
Yeah.
I am still learning, and I think it was definitely the first in-person game against Warriors of the Dark Ghost that I've played with my dwarves. So
Yeah.
we'll see how we go later on in the campaign.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, tune in for the grudge to end all grudges, the rematch between the Dwarven Holds and the Highborn Elves after that slaughter the other week.
Glorious routing.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the dwarves are going to be fighting hard. Cool. Right.
Yeah,
well, pleasure as usual.
See you next time.
Yep. See you then. Kriegschmidt.
I'm doing the music.
I know.
Bye.
This is bye from me, Fred Dinage.
Fred Dinage.
How to.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, I should stop recording. See you. Bye.
Yeah.
And Gaz Top.